Once you've mastered the art of packing light, you'll have room in your suitcase to fill with goodies and supplies that locals in the community could use. Pack for a Purpose is an organization that was created to provide a platform for travelers who wanted to donate needed items to their vacation destination. Today, founder Rebecca Rothney will explain a little bit more about what Packing for a Purpose is all about. Rebecca Rothney took her first overseas trip at age 11, and she's never looked back. In her 67 years, she's visited 48 countries and 7 continents. She and her husband Scott were married in Antarctica. On their second trip to Botswana in 2002, Rebecca had the opportunity to make use of the extra space in her luggage to take needed supplies for the local school. After informally packing for a purpose from 2002 through 2008, she formally founded Pack for a Purpose in 2009. With the help of amazing volunteers and interns, this all-volunteer nonprofit has grown into a recognized global brand. In the 7 years since its inception, Pack for a Purpose travelers have taken over 160,000 pounds of supplies, meeting essential needs in over 60 countries. All right, so Rebecca, it is so great to have you here today. I'm so glad you could join the summit and talk for Pack for a Purpose. Let's just jump right into our first question. What inspired Pack for a Purpose?
2 things inspired Pack for a Purpose. First of all, it was my mother's indoctrination, if you will, growing up as a child, that it's very important to thank people for their graciousness and their generosity if they invite you to their home for a weekend or for dinner. And then the next thing was I have a deep-seated abhorrence of waste, a waste of resources. I don't think we waste almost nothing in our home. I think we might lose a pound of food a year out of our refrigerator.
Oh, wow.
Because if you're lucky enough to have resources, then I think you have a responsibility to use them wisely. So after our first trip to Africa, I realized we had 200 pounds between the 2 of us of luggage going over the ocean. And then on our next flight, we had 22 pounds of luggage we were allowed. And they even weighed you on the flight because we were taking 6-seater Cessnas. So the thought of wasting almost 200 pounds of free shipping made me nuts. And when we went back the second time with this amazing company, Wilderness Safaris, we had the opportunity to visit a school. I'd been a teacher till I was 40, and I thought, wow, we have a chance to use all our checked luggage for school supplies. So I asked Wilderness Safaris to find out what the school needed. They sent us a list, and then we packed those supplies in our checked luggage, and Wilderness took the supplies from us in Johannesburg when we arrived, and they made sure the supplies were waiting for us in Botswana when we were actually able to visit the school.
Wow. Oh, that is really neat. So I guess that kind of got you started thinking about, can we do this all over the world? Can we do it more than just one place?
Absolutely. So for the next several times we went to Africa, my husband and I, like many of the people I'm sure who are tuning in, took things that we found would be useful. The next time we went, AIDS had broken out. There were many, many more orphans. And I was told the greatest need was for children's clothing. So that's what we collected and brought with us. But then when we were going to Kenya, and we emailed, actually it was my husband, I wasn't a big internet person then, emailed a Lewa Rhino Conservancy and said, what would you like? We saw they had a clinic in a school, and there we had our own driver guide. So all the weight of the supplies that arrived in Nairobi could be put in the vehicle and taken with us. That issue about how to get supplies from a landing place where you have a huge amount of luggage to the next place where you may be very limited on your luggage really wasn't an issue for us in Kenya. And Lewa, their answer to us was, we would love a stethoscope and a blood pressure cuff because we don't have those in our clinic. So you can imagine after I started breathing again because I was just so appalled, I talked to our travel agent and I said, well, surely all of your clients use this huge amount of excess luggage they have going over the ocean to take supplies for the places they're going. And Bert said to me, no, they don't. I was like, really? He said, no, because they don't think about it. And I made up my mind, well, if I gave them a way to think about it that was easy and simple, I knew people would choose to do it, because I absolutely believe most people are generous and kind and want to express their gratitude for the hospitality they receive. So my husband kind of doubled up with laughter, because I was the woman 8 years ago who didn't type her own emails, who never went on the internet if at all possible, and who had a very unpleasant attitude toward computers. And he was like, "You're going to found a global nonprofit on the internet?" I'm like, "Well, I don't have the skills, but I know a lot of people who do, and they like my homemade chocolate mint chip cookies." So when we went to Kenya, we took the stethoscope, we took the blood pressure cuff, which was really rewarding for us, and other supplies that were needed. And then we started thinking, okay, how can I make this easy and simple so all travelers can go to one website and find exactly the information they need, spend less than 5 minutes, and be ready to take those supplies and add meaning to every trip they take.
That's fabulous. Wonderful. Could you tell me a little bit more about the process? How does your website work exactly?
Let me just say, I beta tested the website because I was the incompetent person in the entire team. So I want to assure every listener, no matter what your skill level is, you can use this website because I can. So the first thing you do when you get to www.packforapurpose.org is click on how to participate. And if you're participating as a traveler, when you click on that page, we can reassure you that it's just 5 easy steps. The first thing you're going to do is click on a destination, their little suitcases, or you can also click on an initiative. If you're particularly passionate about animals, then you can click on animal welfare, and you'll see the countries' suitcases by region or continent where we have animal welfare projects, where they're animal welfare projects and who the participants are. But if you're just looking to see what the project is, you click on the country. For instance, you might go to Africa, the continent. You'd click on the country Botswana, and there you would find a list of all the current participants in Botswana that work with community projects. You click on that link, you'd see a needs list, which is sent to us by the project, so we know it's current. You choose any supplies from that list, but only the supplies on that list that you would choose to take. You pack them in your luggage, you drop them off when you get there at your accommodation or with your tour company, and they deliver them to the project for you. It's really that simple.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, having so many different people in the community come together and make it so easy to give, that's just really inspiring.
I like simple and easy. I'm almost 68, and if you said you can do something that's really difficult or really simple and the outcome will be exactly the same, I have to confess, I choose really easy as long as the outcome was going to be the same. And this could be a trip someone saved up their whole lifetime for, or a business trip, or a honeymoon. And their focus doesn't need to be on doing the good deed if it's easy. You just go to our website, you find out what's needed, you choose what you'd like to take with you, you put it in your luggage, and you drop it off. And everybody can choose to do that. Whether you're 90 or 9, you can pack for a purpose, which is what I like about it. It's accessible to everyone, and it gives everyone a chance to say thank you to that community that's hosting you, whose resources you're using during your stay in a way that's actually meaningful to that community. You don't want to bring flowers to a hostess who has allergies. Lovely thought, terrible gift. But how do you know if you've never stayed with that person before? So by getting the needs list directly from the communities through our accommodations and tour companies, we know that those are the current needs. Then if the needs change, they simply send us an email and we take off or add on to their needs list what's the most current item.
Okay. And so you mentioned earlier some of the needs you've had over the years were, clothing or a stethoscope. What are some of the more popular items that have been requested?
Well, I think consistently, if you look at schools, you're going to find the same kinds of items are going to want school supplies. Some of them, if they have the ability, are going to want gently used computers. Some might need solar powered computers. because it is a technology age, even in remote areas. And the more you can prepare students to use that technology, the more relevant they're going to be in the 21st century. Even some resistant people had to learn that 70 years ago. So I think the supplies are consistent in what's requested across the type of project. So if we're talking about a humane society, an animal shelter, they might want collars or doggy beds or any of those things that could fit in somebody's luggage. That's the caveat. We suggest people take 5 pounds or 2.27 kilos, but if you can't take 5 pounds, a stethoscope weighs less than a kilo or 2 pounds, but it can touch 10,000 people's hearts. 1 tube of antibiotic cream, which is 3 ounces, can prevent 20 or 30 children from getting an infection from a scrape when they're outside. So whatever you can do will always be appreciated. And some people use all their checked luggage and they get the community involved, their friends, their family, their children, and they take 2 suitcases full of supplies. We don't even ask that because that's a lot more work. But we are grateful for a lot of travelers who've done that, and other travelers who take supplies when they're not even staying at any of the accommodations or using the tour companies on our website. And all of our participants are grateful when you drop those supplies off, whether you're staying with them or not.
So I'm curious, what are some of the more different supplies that have been asked? What are some things you've worked with that you're kind of like, that's different?
Well, one thing we're doing now I'll talk about, but when we went to Tanzania, we had a request for an NGO. It isn't actually on our website at the moment, but they work with one of the participants on our website. And they wanted foghorns that you would put on a boat. And they actually paid for them, but they sent them to us here because the issue was shipping them over there. So we said, of course we can take foghorns. Might I ask what they're for? I don't think it gets very, Tanzania has a coastline, but these were going to be used in Arusha, which is way far inland. I couldn't imagine foggy mornings in Arusha. But they're actually used to prevent elephants from eating crops. Elephants don't like those loud noises. They were relatively small, so it was easy for us to pack them up when they arrived in Raleigh. And then we delivered them to our participant, which was Nomad Safaris, and Nomad delivered them to the NGO, which is working so that elephants and communities can live more harmoniously together because the elephants aren't eating their crops. So that was probably the most unusual request that Scott and I have had to take over supplies. But one of the most meaningful, at least right now for me, a great new product. It's been on the market for a while. This time when we're going to Southern Africa, we're taking 517 pair of B-Girl underwear. And this is a product, we took some last year, so it's been tested in the field, if you will, for the Children in the Wilderness program. And this underwear allows girls to stay in school every single day of the month. And this underwear can be reused for up to at least 2 years. So we're very thrilled that 517 girls will not have to miss a day of school inherently for the next 2 years. Because if you're missing 4 or 5 days of school a month, that adds up very quickly and becomes a huge deficit. This underwear weighs almost nothing, so we were able to take a whole lot of it, and we're really excited to be able to drop that off in Johannesburg and then have Wilderness Safaris distribute it across their Children in the Wilderness programs in Zambia, Botswana, Namibia, South Africa, and Zimbabwe.
Wow,
So
that's a huge impact. That's amazing.
Well, a lot of people contributed, so we let people know personally that we were going to do this, my husband and I, on Facebook, and for $25, we could purchase 3 pair of underwear. That is an enormous impact for that small amount of money to think 3 girls are staying in school for up to 2 years. So we were really thrilled. But I think foghorns were the most unusual we had so far. You never know.
Wow. Be ready for anything, right? Any request.
Apps, if it can fit in our luggage, we're prepared to take it.
Wow, that's great. Did you get anybody at the airport or through customs like saying, "What is this?"
No,
Okay.
no one asked. We didn't have to open our bags and have to check. No. They're like, when you think of foghorn, you think of some ginormous, but they were really very tiny. They
Small.
were very
Okay.
small, lightweight.
Huh.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, cool. Wow. So, I mean, we talked several years ago um, when things were really starting to pick up the pace, and you were working with many, many more hotels, accommodations, and tour operators. And at that time, you had 400. Where are you guys at now? How many people are you working with now?
Currently, we have about 470 participants. A few participants are in the process because there's several things our participants have to do before we create a page for them on Pack for a Purpose. I can't mention any names, but they're pretty exciting. So we hope they'll be finishing up what they need to do on their website soon, and then we can create pages on the Pack for a Purpose website. We do lose participants. Some small businesses simply tend to disappear off the internet. We do a link check every month. We consider that we have a huge obligations to our travelers to make sure that things are as transparent as possible. So every month we have a program designed by one of our volunteers that checks all our participants' website. And if we don't find the information up and the logo up, then we revert to them with a letter saying, oh dear, it seems like our information is no longer on our website. Do you still wish to participate? Most 90% of the time they've just redone their website and it's not totally finished yet, and the information goes back up. But if we don't hear back from them and we check on Google and we don't find them, they come down. Sometimes we lose participants because another company buys those properties and they decide not to participate. So then those people come down. So this is an ongoing process because we want to be sure when you go to our website, you can trust the information that you find there. I think you have a huge responsibility when you provide services to others that they be trustworthy.
Hmm. I agree, absolutely. Um, so you said you've been doing this for 8 years.
I think it's 7 officially. We went live on the web December 17th of, I'm going to mess this up. I know I was doing that the other day. What was 7 years ago? 2000 and
2000.
1999 would be
Okay.
7 years. 1999?
That'd be 17 years ago.
2009.
Okay.
So in 2009, we went live on the web December 17th, but nobody knew about it except the few people who were involved. And then in January 2010, we received some huge PR in Italy. And so that's when we had 29 places in about 15 countries. But then we kept working on adding more and more. And as the PR reached out and very established, Wilderness Safaris was one of our first participants, Norman Carr Safaris, big brands. So people trusted their because of their strong brand, they trusted that we were legitimate, and more people started joining Pack for a Purpose. They met the qualifications, and we were able to add them to the website. So it's about 470 now, and where you find how to participate as a traveler, there's also the information on how to participate as a tour company or accommodation. So at this point, we find people joining our initiative on their own. They fill out all the steps that they need to do, and we don't even have to use as much outreach to find participants. They're finding us, and that's very gratifying.
Yeah, wonderful. I'm curious, has working with all this and doing Pack for a Purpose, has it changed the way that you see travel and how it impacts the world? How's it shaped that understanding?
It's affirmed with a great deal of joy the goodness that I know is out there, and the million and many people, because I can't tell you how many people actually Pack for a Purpose. I can tell you the weight of the supplies they've delivered. But it affirms for me every day that there are many good people out there who want to be generous and kind, and who have an awareness that when you go to a community in another place for that week, those 2 weeks, those 2 days, you are part of that community. And you might wish to contribute in a meaningful way. It lets you know that even though you're going on a plane to get where you're going, or taking a ship, You can mitigate the impact of your travel by taking something that would be useful and may not be easily accessible or affordable by that community. I like to think of it in terms of a hostess gift, and maybe that's a little naive, but my mother taught me to always take a hostess gift. But I want to make sure it's a hostess gift that can be actually used. So whether it's for a clinic, a school, SPCA, a community garden, a home for the elderly, a home for physically and mentally challenged adults, I know that I can take something to express my gratitude, and it will be a positive impact on the community that I visit. If items can be purchased locally, then that information is on that particular participant's page. So if you want to purchase it locally and you can purchase more because you're not limited to any kind of a weight limit, then that information is on their page on our website. The most important thing is that that stethoscope arrive at that clinic, whether you take it from home or you're able to purchase it there. So I'm kind of a pragmatic person at the age of 67, but we like to accommodate the needs of our participants as much as possible. So if it can be purchased locally, that's going to be on their website as well.
Wonderful. I guess what's next for Pack for Purpose? You have so many wonderful things happening, and we'll have to keep an eye out on your website for those new partners popping up. But what are some exciting things you have planned?
Well, some other exciting things that we have, we're going to keep increasing the number of participants. We hope through wonderful interviews and opportunities to communicate with the traveling public like you graciously provided us with, Claire. More and more travelers will choose to Pack for Purpose. We're trying to find the time to do academic outreach to all the universities, and starting with North America and then expanding outward, so that students and universities who are traveling abroad for a variety of reasons will also choose to Pack for a Purpose. It's happened somewhat. The Sloan Fellows at MIT packed for a purpose several years ago. Students from Purdue University packed for a purpose, but we want to make this a consistent activity. We also want to reach out to more businesses who are taking employees on award trips around the world so they can choose to Pack for a Purpose. Sean Delaney, an international consulting firm, did this several years ago at the Fairmont Mayakoba. It made a huge impact on that community on several different projects. So one thing you might wish to do as a traveler is go to the stories, and they're from communities and travelers on our website. And you can see that brides and grooms have chosen to have Pack for Purpose honeymoons. Young children have chosen to get other students at their school involved. And it's very affirming, inspiring, and wonderful to me to see the wide variety of people, ages. People have Pack for a Purpose from South America, from Asia. It's not just Americans or Europeans who've chosen to Pack for a Purpose because it's so easy. And the last thing we are doing is moving from the founder model, which would be myself and this amazing group of volunteers I can't say enough about, our webmaster, our Twitter mister, the person who designed the link check program, the two women who keep up our database, who make this all possible, to a more sustainable model where at some point, hopefully in the next 2 years before I'm 70, we have staff that are in paid positions so we can really reach our full potential. The one limiting factor we have now is the amount of time in a week to do the work, because I'm the only person old enough on this team to do this full time for zero. For the joy that comes with it. Everyone else who volunteers with us actually has a full-time job. So
Imagine that.
they give a lot of their time, but if we had 2 people giving 40 hours a week of their time, an extra 80 hours on top of what we have now, obviously we could grow the initiative, reach more people, and be sure that every traveler knew about Pack for a Purpose so they would have the opportunity to choose to participate.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for taking part and being a part of this wonderful summit. And I mean, I feel like we talked a lot about Pack for a Purpose. Is there anything that you want to tell our viewers that we didn't get to talk about, or?
I'm channeling my college interns now. Follow us on our social media. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest.
Yes.
LinkedIn. I do want to express my gratitude once again to the amazing volunteers who literally work for cookies, but not the kind you find on your computer, the kind that come out of my oven. They are amazing. Our Twitter mister works at IBM, and we have interns from universities who get academic credit by volunteering here. So this is simply a community of wonderful, caring people in this country who make this possible. I'm just like the Lego who connected them all.
It's a very important Lego.
Well, you need Legos, I guess, to have some fun. But I do hope travelers will look into this. It's very easy. If they have suggestions on how we can make our website betterer, which I understand is not an AP approved word, but I like it. Because I believe you can be a little bit betterer every single day. And we've taken a lot of feedback and improved our website from our stakeholders. So if you go to our website and you think there's a way we can make it betterer, please email us at info@packforapurpose.org, and we will be happy to respond and perhaps include your suggestions on our website to make it the best possible website for travelers to use when they want to make the trip they take go farther than the miles they travel.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rebecca, and thank you so much for taking the time out and talking with us. And we look forward to seeing how Pack for a Purpose grows and becomes an even bigger part of our world. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was a wonderful opportunity. I'm really appreciative. Bye.